It was the dry season when the rains refused to fall, and the earth cracked like an old woman's hands. The village of Uzoma was quiet, save for the rhythmic clacking of looms as the women wove their stories into cloth. Among them was Amina, the weaver's daughter, whose fingers danced like fireflies over the threads. She was young, barely 16, but her tapestries were already the talk of the village. They said her patterns could make you see the past, feel the future, and hear the whispers of the ancestors. But Amina's life changed the day her belly began to swell. At first the women whispered behind their hands, their voices low and sharp like the hiss of a snake. "Who is the father?" they asked. "Why won't she say?" Amina's mother, Mama Ife, wept and begged her daughter to speak, but Amina remained silent. She couldn't or wouldn't say. The elders called a meeting under the great Iroko tree, its branches heavy with the weight of judgment. "A child without a father is a curse," they said. "She has brought shame to Uzoma." And so Amina was cast out, her loom broken, her threads scattered like leaves in the wind. She wandered for days, her feet raw and her heart heavier than the stones she slept on. One night, as the moon hung low and full, she stumbled upon a cave hidden behind a curtain of vines. Inside, the air was cool and smelled of earth and old things. The walls were covered in tapestries, their colors faded but their stories still alive. Amina ran her fingers over the threads and felt the echoes of women who had come before her, women who had been cast out, misunderstood, or forgotten. In the center of the cave sat an old loom, its wood polished smooth by time. Amina sat before it and began to weave. She wove her sorrow, her fear, and her hope. She wove the story of her child, unborn but already loved. And as she worked, the cave seemed to hum, as if the ancestors themselves were guiding her hands. One day, a hunter from Uzoma stumbled upon the cave. He was drawn by the sound of the loom and the sight of the tapestries fluttering in the breeze. When he saw Amina, he fell to his knees. "Amina," he said, "the village has been searching for you. The elders regret their decision. They say the spirits have been restless since you left." When Mama Eve arrived at the cave, she wept at the sight of her daughter, her hands calloused but her spirit unbroken. "Amina," she said, "forgive us. We were wrong to cast you out. Come home and let us make amends." And so Amina returned to Uzoma, her tapestries carried by the villagers like sacred relics. They gathered under the Iroko tree, and Amina stood before them, her belly round and her voice steady. She unrolled her tapestries one by one, each one telling a part of her story, the love she had lost, the shame she had borne, and the hope she carried for her child. Amina gave birth to a healthy baby girl under the Iroko tree, the same tree that had once condemned her. The villagers named the child Nkechi, which means gift of God, and she grew up to be a weaver like her mother, her tapestries telling the stories of Uzoma for generations to come. And the cave, it became a sacred place where women went to weave their stories and find solace in the threads of those who had come before them.